Welcome back to Inner Light. I'm your host Anya, and today we are doing something kind of rebellious. We are making accounting feel alive. Most people hear accounting and their soul instantly logs off. But here's my strong opinion. Accounting is not just numbers, it's clarity, it's truth, it's the grown up version of where my life is actually going. And if you have ever felt anxious about money, overwhelmed by business decisions, or confused about why you work so hard yet feel behind, this episode is for you. My guest is Albert Butler, CPA, MBA. He is the resident partner in charge of National Accounting Firm, and he's been leading with integrity, strategy, and purpose for over 25 years. He's also a father of four, a youth coach, and a servant leader who has turned personal trials into lessons on resilience, faith, and financial discipline. And his philosophy is simple but hits hard. Accounting is the heartbeat of business and the key to personal finance success. So today, we are connecting the dots: money mindset, leadership, faith, discipline, and the practical stuff. Like what to track, what to stop ignoring, and how to build a life that doesn't collapse the minute life gets real. Alright, Albert, let's get into it.
Anya, thank you so much. That is an amazing introduction. I hope that today that we can have a conversation that's pure. I'm going to come from the heart and be very transparent, and hopefully your listeners can resonate with my message.
Yes, absolutely. So, Albert, you say accounting is the heartbeat of business. What does that actually mean in real life for someone running a company day to day?
And I would actually like to flip the question on its head a little bit. There's a back part of that comment that says accounting is the heartbeat of business and the key is to personal finance success. So let's talk personal first. Accounting is not just the heartbeat of business. It actually comes to the kitchen table. And that's where it starts. When you are talking with your family, when you're a child listening to your parent, when you're the adult talking to your children, when you're doing your budget, when you're walking through what your spending habits are, all these things come back to accounting. Accounting is equivalent exchange. It is the cycle. It is the opportunity to see how transactions flow from one person to the next, from one company to the next, and ultimately for the flow of the money cycle of the entire world. So, not accounting is not just not it's not a sexy term, that some would actually say, but it is a term that has a lot of power, a lot of beauty, and when you think about it, it is relevant to every aspect of our lives. So accounting is truly the heartbeat of business and really the key to personal finance success.
Yeah, 100%. And what's the first vital sign you check to know if a business is healthy or quietly bleeding cash?
Interesting. Well, a lot of companies run into the aspect of not knowing where their numbers are. You mentioned in the intro, clarity. Accounting gives clarity. And when you don't take that health check, when you don't step back and look at how your processes are flowing, when you don't understand how your budget is being balanced, when you don't understand the past, your financial reporting, the present, your treasury function and your cash flow, and the future, your forecasting and budgeting, and you don't monitor those things, you will begin to bleed. And not only bleed, you'll have a heart attack. And that's why the heartbeat is so important.
Yeah, that's spicy because people love marketing metrics and vibes, but you're saying the numbers are literally telling the truth before the pain shows up.
Let me walk you through a little bit of a diagram of a story. If you think about any business, a business is purely just an entity, just like you're an entity. All your mindset, your ideas, your concepts, what you believe in, your mantras, all comes from your mind. So what's in your mind? That's where your leadership resides. I have another mantra I like to use. It's called the five heartbeats of business. The first one, leadership. The second one, operations. Third, sales. Fourth, IT infrastructure. And number five, accounting, that heartbeat. In every aspect of that, of those five muscles, working those five muscles, the message comes from the leadership. It goes down into the operation. It's given to the world by sales. The data flow is driven by the IT infrastructure. But all that comes back to the middle where the accounting takes place, because that message has to be resonated through those numbers for that clarity and to be consistent and timely. So the leader can make those decisions. Without having those numbers, you're making decisions in the blind. And do you want to make decisions in the blind? None of us do. We want to know what that information can tell us and how we can tell the world our story. And accounting does that for us.
Yes, totally. And a lot of people think they are just bad with money. What do you think is the real root problem? Lack of knowledge, lack of discipline, or fear?
I would tell you that the real issue when anyone says they're bad with money is not understanding what money really is. I would ask all your listeners, when you step back and think about it, what really is money? Money is truly just a tool. When you look at your history and you go back to understand that we are trying to find resources, we're trying to find ways to better take care of ourselves. We're trying to find ways to take care of our family. We're trying to make sure that we have enough resources to cover us from one generation to the next. So throughout history, money became that intermediary to take your skills and my skills and give us a common tool to use to exchange those resources. So we consistently are focused on just chasing the tool as compared to using the tool for what the tool was truly meant for: the acquisition of resources, the understanding of what you truly need to survive, the understanding what you really want to thrive, and then the ability to personally be able to scale with that understanding of your true purpose. That's what I would tell individuals when they want to talk and listen, that if you step back and think about your true purpose and what you're really trying to do throughout life, write it down, understand it better, and you realize that the money is purely just a tool. And that's when you sit back and say, am I really bad with money or am I bad with understanding my purpose?
Yeah, makes sense. And what's one tiny financial habit that gives the biggest confidence boost fast?
Budget, 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 budget. We have to live within our budgets. It's so frustrating at times when you see individuals living above what they can truly afford. And I call it living from check to check, or from a financial sense, living off cash flow. When you live off of cash flow and you are just worried about the next dollar that's coming in, you never learn how to save. And if you don't learn how to save, you don't learn how to invest. And if you don't know how to invest, you don't learn how to build. And if you don't build, how can you possibly scale? That's why I'll always go back to, it all comes back to the person, not the business, not the money, but the individual. Where are you on your journey in understanding how to gain resources, how to be able to build, how to be able to scale? So it's interesting when you think about it. It can be frustrating, but living in a materialistic type way and not budgeting and overspending is always going to make you dig a hole for yourself. We don't want to dig holes for ourselves. We want to get out of those holes. We want to climb out of those holes. We want to be able to build. We can't build if we constantly spending and we don't understand how to budget. Budget, budget, budget.
Yeah, I love that. Because confidence isn't magic, it's receipts, it's evidence. And it's, I did the thing and I'm safe.
That's right. That's right. 100.
Yeah. And you have led with integrity and purpose for decades. How do you help people make financial decisions without shame running the whole meeting?
Interestingly enough, that question is very powerful because I think too that it leads into leadership as well. Not making someone feel like they're just made mistakes and mistakes, mistakes is all about leadership and a level of self-governance to lead by example. You wouldn't want somebody to make you feel shamed about what you're doing, how you're doing it. You want people to feel open, transparent, and honest. So that means that you have to be open, transparent, and honest. So that starts with a level of governance for self and being able to be comfortable in your own skin. We all make mistakes. This journey that we're on, it's never going to be perfect. We're constantly going to be going ups and downs, lefts and rights, ins and outs. Why? Because life is extremely turbulent. And when you step back and think about it, what are we really living this life for? We're living to build a legacy. We want our legacy to be representation of us. But I will tell you that no legacy was ever built without making mistakes. Mistakes are opportunities to become better because you're going to learn from them. I challenge everyone, when you make a mistake, try to fall forward, get back up, and go again. You'll be amazed at what you'll be able to accomplish.
Yes, 100%. And what's a common lie people tell themselves about money that keeps them stuck?
Ooh, wow. We always lie to ourselves trying to think that we need to chase the next dollar. We gotta have more. We gotta have more. We have to have more. You know, living a very humble life is a life that's gonna yield you more. You don't have to chase money. You don't have to be the person that's going to constantly just do whatever it takes to get the next dollar. That is an extreme lie that people tell themselves because, again, once you walk in your purpose, your energy changes, your vibe changes, and people want to gravitate over to good energy. And when people gravitate to good energy, some strange reason, money comes right along with it. People want to be with greatness, and people pay you to be around your greatness. So don't lie to yourself. You don't need to chase the next dollar. Walk in your purpose. Run to your purpose. Be a person that really desires to want to leave a legacy that's built on that purpose. That's the real challenge for us all.
Yeah, view. Money shame is sneaky. It's like stress with a spreadsheet. And the wild part is, shame doesn't fix anything, it just blocks action.
Completely, completely. And then the other side of that is when you are chasing that way, more problems come up. So you fix one thing, the next thing happens. You fix one thing, the next thing happens. So it's unfortunate because problems are going to come. Turbulence is going to be there. So if you're constantly chasing, you have to understand that you're not in a alignment for your purpose. So don't chase. You don't have to.
For sure. And you're a father of four, a youth coach, and a servant leader. How have those roles shaped the way you think about money and responsibility?
The responsibility to share is critical when you have others looking up to you. I will tell you that it gives a level of stewardship that's required when you're in those types of positions. That's a leadership position in every aspect of it. So to be a leader, you're going to have resources. To get resources, you're going to have that intermediary tool of money. But you want to make sure that individuals understand clearly that your stewardship and serving others begets a powerful energy that's going to allow others to serve you. So building a infrastructure around a basis of you having the money that you need, well, you're going to be able to drive and thrive and be able to have that purpose that's being driven. It's going to be seen. So people are going to want to support that purpose. Again, you don't have to chase it. It's going to come to you, and others are going to be looking up to you on a consistent basis. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was younger, I didn't realize that there were so many others that was watching what I was doing until I had a conversation with a friend of mine, like literally 10 years later. And he said, Albert, we were younger, I would always look up to you. I would always see how you'd be so adamant about being consistent, so adamant about being disciplined, showing up when others were not showing up. I would watch that, and it helped me govern myself. And I really didn't, you never realize that when others are watching, and those same others that are watching are learning from you along the way. So it goes back to a level of self-governance. How do you move in your own vibe? Because others are always watching, regardless if you are a father, uncle, cousin, brother, whatever role that you play, others are watching. So govern yourself accordingly.
Yes, definitely. And what's a lesson about discipline you have learned from parenting or coaching that applies directly to finances?
The biggest lesson I will tell you is a quote that I give all the time. I can because I will. I will because I can. I don't say can't because I can. I am a champion. I train like a champion. I practice like a champion. I work like a champion. Therefore, I will win like a champion. Nobody can beat me but me. I share that because when you realize that you're on this long journey, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And in every aspect of it, you're going to have roadblocks that are going to come along the way. And those roadblocks require you to stay disciplined, to stay consistent, to realize that it's just a roadblock for today, but it's not a roadblock for life. You're either going to go through it, over it, around it, or over it. But you have to persevere through it. Because if you let one roadblock stop you, you fall away from your purpose. If you fall away from your purpose, you won't have your legacy. So it's very, very important to stay aligned toward achieving that legacy. And knowing that struggle will come, but don't stop. Because when you stop, that's the only time that you fail.
Yes, that's so real because money management isn't a spreadsheet issue, it's a leadership issue. And you're basically saying lead yourself first.
Lead yourself first, govern yourself first, be mindful of self first. It's interesting that when you're on an airplane and they tell you, ladies and gentlemen, here are the instructions for the flight. If there is any turbulence, make sure that you secure the oxygen mask first and then help others. If you don't have the oxygen that you're providing to yourself, if you're not monitoring your own leadership skills, if you don't realize that accounting is not just a heartbeat of business, but it is truly the key to your own personal finance success, and you're not sharing that story, and you don't tell yourself, I can because I will, you realize that you can't help others because you have not helped yourself. So be mindful, take care of yourself, take care of your mind, take care of your energy, and walk in your purpose.
Yes, absolutely. And if someone listening is overwhelmed and wants to start getting control today, what are the top three numbers they should track every month? No excuses.
No excuses. Track your overall your expenses first. Track your expenses first. So what are those expenses? I will tell you that you have to make an assessment of true need. The number one need as humans that we all need is a roof over our. So make sure that your shelter is covered. Now that doesn't mean that you go get the biggest, prettiest, whatever house that you can possibly think of. What that means is that you need to have proper security with a proper shelter over you that you take care of and you pay and you budget accordingly. Number two, I will tell you, and some might disagree, but your overall what you consume and what you eat. Your body is truly your temple. You have to make sure that you eat clean quality food, drink clean quality water to make sure that you can stay strong and have mental clarity to make proper decisions. And I would say overall number three is the way that you're the way that you cover yourself and the way that you keep yourself secure. All those these are the big three, I will tell you 100%, because if any of those aspects are left short, you're going to find that if you don't have proper shelter, then you're going to be worried about money. If you don't eat clean and have a proper health consciousness about your temple of your body, you're going to be sick and you're going to be worried about money. If you don't cover yourself appropriately, you're not going to be able to present yourself appropriately to others, and people will not be able to take you too seriously because you're not clean. You're not covered the proper way. So those are the areas that I 100% believe that if we stay aligned and make sure we drive to make sure that you have those needs, you're really going to be very, very satisfied with what you're going to achieve.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. And what's the biggest mistake you see people make when they finally start tracking that makes them quit?
When you actually start tracking and you realize that how much you have been overspending, there's something that kicks in where you don't want to sacrifice. You still want to have those extra little nuances. You don't see the long-term view. You want to see the short-term comfort, and it makes you quit. I will tell you from the perspective of people want to get that cup of coffee that's just so special as compared to making it at home. People want to have that special cup of tea as compared to making it at home. People want to have the new clothes that look all nice and dandy as compared to understand they have everything they need already. That level of excessive spending will make you have desires to want more. Here's another one. Our use of how we use all the apps on our phones, how much we spend on those, and not realizing that the more you spend on certain apps, some apps actually do the exact same thing over and over and over again, but you have so many of them that you forget of those monthly subscriptions that you signed up for, and that's a drain on your overall savings and investing. And I'll go one step further, and this is probably the biggest one: taxes, 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 taxes. As a CPA, I see clients all the time, and I work with them to make sure they understand that as a citizen, you are required to pay taxes. You are required to pay your fair share in taxes. but my fair share, your fair share, and the next person's fair share is a totally different number. So you should work with a professional to find your fair share. And when you do it on your own, you will make mistakes. It's unfortunate, but you will because you're not in the profession of doing that. So work with a professional that understands how these systems work because these systems are designed to make sure that everybody's taken care of. And you want to work with a professional so you can be taken care of. Those are the things that people really should pay attention to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm obsessed with this because it's giving simple but not easy. We don't need more information. We need a clearer system and a little more courage.
That's right. And it's interesting that you use the word courage. Um, I educate others about leadership in this perspective as well. Leadership has two C's. Those two C's are one, communication. Because as a leader, you need to have amazing written and verbal communication. But realize that when you have that level of communication, a large number of people are going to agree with you, but there will be a subset group that won't, and they will challenge you. So when they challenge you, you have to have courage, which is the other C, to stand on that level of communication that you gave. So leadership is 100% two C's, communication and courage. Being able to communicate and being able to have the courage to stand up for your communication.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. And how can listeners reach out to you?
Well, I would tell your audience if this message resonates with you, I am you can usually find me at albertbutler.com. Also, if you were to Google me, Albert Butler CPA, you'll see multiple instances of me showing up. Also on Instagram and Facebook, it's Albert Butler CPA on those platforms as well. And I would love to connect with any that would like to talk further about these topics.
Mm-hmm. Yes, amazing. And before we wrap up, I want to challenge you a little. Not in a harsh way, but in a future you will thank you way. Money is emotional, but it's also learnable. And if accounting is the heartbeat, then avoid your numbers is basically ignoring your body's signals and hoping it magically works out. Spoiler, it won't. So for the next 7 days, do this one thing. Open your bank app and look at your last 10 transactions. No judgment, no awareness. Then ask yourself, did this move me towards the life I say I want? If the answer is no, more often than you'd like, cool. That's not a failure, that's data. Albert, this was such a grounding conversation. Practical, honest, and weirdly empowering for something people usually fear. If you're listening and you got value from this episode, share it with a friend who's building a business, rebuilding their finances, or just trying to feel more stable. This is On a Light with Anya, and I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, keep it simple, keep it true, and take care of your heartbeat.